If we've seen a prettier day than today, I can't remember when it was. Absolutely magnificent. You realize that spring has finally arrived. I was just telling General Milano that I bought Kelly a new riding mower yesterday. We got an anniversary coming up next month, and Easter's right around the corner. I thought a little something special would be nice for her. Thanks to everybody for coming out. CORE kind of got the idea to do this a couple years ago, so this is our third iteration for a town hall meeting, and what a great place to do it. Nanette Johnston, thank you. Bart Lovins, thank you for allowing us to use this great facility because it really is made for this type of presentation today. My name is Bill Barron. I'm the Executive Director of the local CORE Committee, and on behalf of the CORE Committee, I would like to welcome each of you to the 2011 or 2010 Town Hall meeting. There's a lot of dignitaries in the audience today. If I start mentioning you by name, I will miss many. We have mayors, judge executives, community leaders from across many counties here today. So again, I will simply say welcome to each of you. Today, on the chart behind me, we got a pretty star-studded cast here, if you will. General Milano is going to kick us off with a few comments, and then we're going to turn it over to the hardest-working colonels in the U.S. Army. They've been on board working this BRAC thing for many, many years, some as far back as November of 2005, I believe. Greg Gardner was on board back when it really got started for HRC. So these guys are really the institutional knowledge of what has been in the past and what will be in the future, and that's why we're here today, is to talk about what's coming in the future. There's a lot of information to share today, so I'm not going to say much more. I am under strict orders that we be gone from the parking lot out front by 3 p.m. If we do not, you will find your vehicle, car, or truck probably under a school bus. So the plan is, if you will hold your questions until Brad finishes at the end, I will come back up and we will hopefully have time for a few questions. So if you will, just hold until Brad is finished and we'll pick up from there. Our first guest today is Major General James Mike Milano. General Milano was born in Dearborn, Michigan. He graduated from Lafayette College in Easton, Pennsylvania, where he learned a Bachelor of Science degree in Chemical Engineering. He earned a Master of Science degree in Administration from Central Michigan University and a Master of Military Art and Science from the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College. General Milano has served in the Army over 30 years. Major General Milano came to Fort Knox after 20 consecutive months in Iraq, with 2 concurrent assignments there. Other recent assignments for him include Deputy Commanding General, 4th Infantry Division at Fort Carson, Colorado, the Director of Training, Headquarters, Department of the Army, the Pentagon, and operational assignments with Army Central Command in Kuwait. His wife is the former Kim Richmond, a registered dietitian, who was born and raised in Erie, Pennsylvania. They have 2 sons, Nick, a senior at the University of West Florida in Pensacola, and Tony, a freshman at the University of Colorado in Boulder. Please join me in a warm round of applause for the Army's 44th Chief of Armor and Senior Mission Commander at Fort Knox, Kentucky, Major General Mike Milano.
Thank you, Bill, for that very nice introduction, and thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. Fort Knox has always enjoyed a very close relationship with our supportive community, and your presence here today is indicative of that support. So on behalf of our soldiers and families at Fort Knox, I thank you for being here today. I, too, will be brief in the interest of allowing what I call the 3 wise guys here to fill you full of facts and information, and again, as Bill said, leave time at the end for questions. But I say that very endearingly because the Army is run by colonels. Generals get to make decisions, but the colonels are doing the directing and the assessing and the analyzing and the recommending and so forth. And these 3 right here, trust me, we're all very well served by their services. We are in the middle of what we're calling at Fort Knox the Big Inhale. We're at about 37,000 or so military family members, civilians and contractors at Fort Knox. By the end of the summer, that number will go up to about 42,000, and then in 2012, post-BRAC, back to about 39,000. So a net increase of several thousand people. As Brad will talk to you about, a net increase in income of $322 million, which is very significant, I think, for the surrounding communities here at Fort Knox, and Brad will talk more about that. But I know the effects are already being felt of the big inhale. And by the way, we won't start exhaling until later on this fall. But I know there's been increased traffic and congestion on 31W, increased lines at the restaurants and whatnot, but that's, folks, something we're just going to have to work through, because I think the end state of what's happening in Fort Knox is going to be a great benefit to the local area here. It will always be our legacy to have had the Armor Center and School at Fort Knox. Always. Nobody can take away the past 70 years of history and tradition at Fort Knox. And so our tanks and our other combat platforms will continue to adorn the accesses to Fort Knox. The Patton Center for Leadership will continue to feature the history of Fort Knox. So I think that's something that we collectively can always be proud of, and that is the 70 great years or so that the Armor Center and School was a viable piece of this part of Kentucky. So I personally am very proud of that. I've known Lieutenant General Ben Frakley for a long time, almost 20 years. And trust me, Fort Knox is going to be in very good hands under Lieutenant General Frakley's leadership. He and I will conduct a transfer of authority, senior commandership of Fort Knox sometime late May, early June. Don't know the date yet. Where I'm going has not been announced, but I'm very confident in the future of Fort Knox under Lieutenant General Ben Frakley's leadership. I think you will all be very well served by him, and so will our soldiers and family members. I think that's all I'm going to say right now. I'm going to turn over to Jeff Ogden to talk some details, but I look forward to your questions pending time at the end. Thank you very much.